Welcome everyone. This is Michael from the Marks Group Live. Happy to be reviewing with you Zoho CRM, the Canvas view. After this video is over, please feel free to email us at support@marksgrouplive.com for any questions on this topic or on anything else Zoho. Also, be sure to rate this class as well, helping out your fellow Zoho users and helping us to improve our video library. In this class, we're going to take a look at the Canvas view. It's a neat, powerful way. Let me pull that up bigger. There we go. The Zoho Canvas view is a neat, powerful way to view your data in a way that doesn't require you to be a neat, powerful programmer to get some good-looking results. The Canvas view in Zoho is powerful. It's a flexible way to display your data. Instead of dealing with strict screens and rows and columns, the Canvas view makes it possible to arrange your information in a manner that is customized to the needs of your users. As with any other view in Zoho, you can determine whether a particular Canvas view is available to one or more specific users or to groups of users. This ability to customize views can make your data easier to understand while also looking much more professional. Now, I have to admit that the Canvas view is highly reminiscent of FileMaker Pro's layouts, so if you have experience with those, you'll be right at home in the Canvas view. The Canvas view lets you put things where you want them and determine how they will behave. So let's get into it. Let's actually review what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to look at which versions of Zoho support the Canvas view. We're going to look at how to find the Canvas view and which modules offer it. We're going to look at creating a new Canvas view from scratch, and then we're going to look at some of the prefab templates, and we're going to create a new Canvas view at that point using one of those templates. Now, before we get into our Zoho screens, one word of advice. If your screen does not look exactly like mine does, do not panic. Your Zoho instance may have been set up slightly differently from mine, and there may be a few differences in some of the screens. Most of what I demonstrate today will work as long as you're using the Zoho Enterprise version, and we'll get into that in a moment. So any Enterprise versions should behave similarly to what I'm showing you. If you try to replicate what I'm doing and you get stuck, drop us an email at support@marksgrouplive.com and we'll see about helping you out. So let's get into it. Actually, let's go back to that. First things first, who's got the Canvas view? Who can access it? Let me just skip ahead. There. The Canvas view is only available in the Enterprise version of Zoho. That means that you are going to be paying $35 per user per month for a version that offers the Canvas view, and there are limits on the number of Canvas views that you can have for any specific module. I think it's 5 different canvases for every module. When you look at how powerful the Canvas view is, maybe that's not going to seem like such a bad problem. Now let's get into the screens now. There we go. And let me go here. All right. The Canvas view is available. So we've done that. We've done that. The Canvas view is available in many of Zoho's modules. You can see whether module supports a Canvas view by looking for the Canvas icons right around here near the middle of the screen. You can see that the Home module, or the Home view, the Home tab does not have it. The Leads module, though, if you look over here on the right-hand side, you can see that there are 3 icons there. Let me get rid of that. There we go. So we've got 3 buttons that we can look at. First, you've got the Tabular View. That's the one that I'm in right now. Then you've got the Kanban view. The Kanban view is sort of like looking at your items as if they were arranged in sticky notes in columns. Then, actually I'm going to skip ahead for a moment. Down here, for some modules, let's see if we've got it coming up here. You've got the Zoho Sheet view. Let's see if that's going to come up for me. Okay, there's a warning about how strange the sheet view is, and then Zoho shows me the sheet view, which is very powerful if you need to make some complex changes to your data. It's a little bit hackish, and it's not something that a lot of people should mess with, because it's possible to make a true mess of your data by messing around with it in the Sheets view and then trying to bring it back into the one of the other conventional views. If you look at it and find that it's interesting, you probably have the right skills to handle this view. Finally, we have, there we go, the canvas view. And it's one that looks like a paintbrush and a canvas. This is best suited for browsing your data and making relatively simple changes to it. Now, here's one of the tricky parts. The canvas view is ideal for people who prefer a friendly view of their data. And those people are usually the opposite of the people who are good at the technical work and the design work that it actually takes to make one. So this is going to be an inevitable tension that you're going to face if you're dealing with having to create canvas views. All right, I'm going to create my canvas view in the leads module. Now, let me just click on that. Now you'll see that I actually have a canvas view already. I'm going to switch back to my tabular view just to show you how that works. The contacts module. There we go. There's that brush. So the contacts module has the canvas view. The accounts module has the canvas view. The activity module actually does not have a canvas view. The campaigns module, there we go, back to a canvas view. The deal module, let's see, the products, that has a canvas view, which is really, really nice in terms of being able to see a product, not so much in a conventional table structure, but rather in a more, something that you're more likely to actually see online, for example. Invoices, there's a canvas view. So you can see that some modules have it, other modules like the activity module don't actually have a canvas view. If I'm in the contacts module and I try to create a canvas view, I haven't created one here yet. So Zoho gives me a short video introducing canvas views. And it invites me to either create a new first canvas view, to try doing it later, or learn more about the canvas view. In our case, I've already created one in leads, so it doesn't give me that video. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new canvas view, and initially I'm given options to select a template. As you can see, or as of the date of this lesson, there are over a dozen different templates arranged in main categories such as people, organization, deals, and so on. It may be tempting to start with a template and modify that to suit your purposes, but I find that initially it may be easier and more straightforward to create a canvas view from scratch. As I mentioned before, this is a design task. You're going to be stretching your user interface muscles when you do this, and please don't expect to get it right the first time. So I'm going to scroll to the top, and I'm going to select a new template to get started with this. Dominating the screen here, right in the middle, is the canvas. This is simply a matter of dragging and dropping elements onto the canvas. Compared to some other administrative tasks in Zoho, this requires very little programming understanding, but it requires a lot of user interface understanding. What information should we put where, and how should it look? I really recommend you start by expanding the canvas and giving yourself room to move around. Expand the canvas by hovering within it, and you see these two little horizontal lines down at the bottom there. I'm going to make it a nice big canvas, so I've got lots of room to mess with things and move things around. On the left side of the window here, we see all the fields that we can drag into this canvas. Annual revenue, average time spent, city. Now when I click in here, Let's see, is it going to, there we go. If I start to scroll in this area, I'll get a vertical scroll controller. These are all the fields that we can drag into the canvas, and they're all in the leads module. Remember, we are in the leads module, even though Zoho hasn't given me the shading up in the leads area. Although it does say so, you can't actually see it. But let's see if I can move things around a little bit. There. You see that my tab says Zoho CRM Leads. So I am, in fact, in the leads area. Let me put that back to there. There. Okay. And shrink that down. And now my sizes are lovely again. All right. So these are all the fields that are available in the leads area, in the leads module. You should remember the functional context of your canvas before you start trying to put everything into it. In this case, because I'm in the leads module, I'm going to be creating a canvas that helps me keep track of my leads, remember who people are, and help me work those leads in an effort to convert them into contacts that engage my organization in deals. So I'm not going to put everything on here. If you're going to put everything on here, you may as well actually stick with the list view or one of the other views. Now the list of available fields is pretty big, so instead of actually scrolling through it and trying to remember a specific field, if I know the name of a field that I'm looking for, I can save myself some time by save myself some scrolling time by typing in some of the letters in the first in the field name. Let's say that I'm looking for an image. Oh, there we go. Lead image, lead owner image, and primary address. Primary address is there because, of course, it has the letters IMA in it. All right, so I'm going to drag the lead image over to my canvas. And then I'm going to place it in the top left corner. Now, when I want to resize this, I can, of course, do that, which is going to distort my image. Or I can click the undo button or just Command Z. If I want to resize this image proportionally, I'll hold down on the Shift key while I drag that corner. So let's do that. That's my lead image. The radius control just determines how much of a rounded edge there is. So as I move that up, you'll see that my originally square image becomes quite rounded, eventually becoming a circle. This looks pretty. It doesn't always work terribly well. I'm going to leave it as a square image for now. Now, remember when we clicked on the letters IM, or we typed IMA, we had the lead image here, the lead owner image, and primary address. One of my items is no longer available to be placed on the canvas. That means that you can only place any given field on the canvas once. There may be situations where you think you want it more than once. I'm going to put my lead owner in the top left corner as a smaller icon. Let's see what else I can do. Let's see what else I've got written in my notes. So resizing the image. When I move an image or when I move an object, Zoho in the lower left area, if you look right down there, Zoho tells me the X and Y coordinates, presumably of the upper left corner of this object. Now, one of the handy features, of course, is that Zoho, let me move this a little bit. When I move it to the top, Zoho gives me I guess that's a magenta or purple line at the top showing me it's a live guide. When I get close to the bottom, oh, there we go, there's a live guide on the bottom. And of course, it will also work with left and right maximums. So Zoho provides live guides for this. It isn't a complete graphic environment, but it's not too bad. All right. So let's get some more fields on here. I'm going to grab my salutation. That's always a nice one to have. salutation. I'm not going to worry too much about placing these things very precisely at this moment. I'm going to look for first name. I'm going to look for, actually, yeah, let's do first name. And where's my last name? There's last name. And title. These are in alphabetical order. Title and description might be handy, so I'm going to grab that. And email, there's that. And phone and score. Phone and the score. And just because we can, let's go for the lead owner and put that down here because we have the lead owner's picture there as well. All right, now we've got a bunch of fields that we can start to work with. First, I'm going to choose, actually before I go on, I should point out, this is not a lesson on how to design information displays. So I'm not actually going to show you, I'm just trying in this class to show you some of the basic Zoho Canvas creation tools. The logic of how to create information displays is highly nuanced, and it's a little bit beyond the scope of what we're doing here today. But we can certainly help you out with that. If you're interested, drop us a line at support@marksgrouplive.com. So right now, I'm going to choose whether or not I display labels for each of my fields and where to put them. So I can do this by clicking on a field, and there's a little label icon there, or a little label switch. Now here it says lead owner, TMG Live admin. Well, I don't think I need the label there, so I'm going to remove the label for that field. I'm going to take that image. That's exactly where I want that. That looks pretty good. And I'll leave the label for the score. That looks okay. And there we go. Let's see, actually with score, I'll show you one of the things I can do with the label. If you click on the downward arrow just to the right of the word label, I can say, well, should the label go on top or should it go to the left? And right now, I'll just say that one goes on top. So there's a TMG Live admin, and there's the lead score. All right. I can also choose to replace any field label with an icon. So let me click on that, and let's say we want an icon there. So I'll click on that, and this is a telephone, so there we go. I've just replaced the word phone with the icon. Notice that it still comes up as a tooltip when I hover on that. Email, of course, we could also do that. That makes sense. Let's use probably an envelope there. All right. So that's the icon. That's the icon function. Notice that when we assign an icon, we can't remove the label anymore. You can only remove a text label. You can't remove an icon label. If you want to remove the label entirely from that phone number, we'd have to turn off the icon and leave the label off as well. Oopsie, that's a phone. There we go. All right. You can look through this list of icons and decide when it makes sense to use an icon instead of a field label. Icons have their benefits, but obviously they're not entirely, if an icon is not clear to you or to the user of this view, then an icon isn't as good as text, which disambiguates better. All right, I'm going to move these fields into their approximate position, and I think you'll understand why I don't move them into their final positions as we go through this. So there's a description, there's a salutation, first name, let's leave a little bit of room there, title and phone and email address. All right, so this is roughly where I want things, I think. I'm also going to make that a slightly larger field. All right. I'm going to mess with the sizing a little bit eventually, so I don't assume that this is the permanent final resting place for each field. Now I'm going to set the horizontal size for each field. So let's say that I have first a person named Scott. I have a person whose first name is Scott. If we have a person with a first name that is ridiculously long, then this field label is not going to be, or this field area is not going to be nearly big enough. So when I hover over this, toward the right of it, you can see that there are a pair of arrows that point left and right. I'm going to hover over those, and I'm going to drag that across so that now I have lots of room for names, first names and last names. Next, I'd like to show you how to format a field and give your fields a consistent look and feel. Now, this can get a bit weird, so bear with me. It does make sense, but there's a bit of nuance involved. Now, I can click on the label of a field. There we go. I've clicked on the label, and when I leave the hover area, you can see that the words last name are still highlighted. Or I can click on first name, and you can see that that's highlighted, and salutation, and so on. I can also click on the data of a field and highlight that. So where I'm clicking either on last name, there's Albertson, or sorry, there's the word's last name, the field label, or there's Albertson, which is the name. I can click on these separately, and I can format them separately, or if I click off to the right, I'll click get the entire field, encompassing both the label and the data, so I can modify both of those things. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the label red for the salutation. I'm going to make the label red, and I'm going to leave the text black. Now I'm going to make the data in that field bold. So I've got my controls here. Let's go for semi-bold. Sure. So semi-bold black text. There's a funny thing you'll find when you're designing a form, and that is when you're designing a form, you're usually focusing on labels rather than the data. So a lot of designers, when they're first designing forms, will make the headings bold. But in practice, when you're actually using a form, you're going to be far more interested in the data, and the labels themselves will fade into, you won't even notice them anymore because you're focusing on the data rather than the labels. Now, here's good news. I've set the visual characteristics of that one field. So salutation is in red, so the field label is in red, and the text is in demi-bold. So I can easily make the rest of my fields look the same way, except I'm going to do one more thing here. I've got that. Let's make that a little bit bigger. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make that slightly larger. I'm going to make that 16-point size. All right. Now, here's what's really cool. If I like the way that this whole thing is looking, I can click on either the label or on the data, and I can copy the style. So I'm going to click on the label. I'm going to copy style. Then I'm going to click on first name. I'm going to hit the shift key, click on last name, title, and by clicking shift, that means I can select more than one of these, and I'm going to say paste style. So now you can see that now first name, last name, and title have all matched the size and the color of the first field. I'll do the same thing with the data, Miss Scott Albertson, and computer systems analyst. I'm going to copy that style of Miss, and then I'm going to paste it for these three. There we go. Now you see why I didn't probably want to do my final positioning, because if I change the size I may need to change the geometry, the exact locations of these items as well. Something that I do not think Zoho, the Zoho Canvas View has, at least not yet, is the ability to have alignment and distribution controls for multiple objects. This is a sad thing. Wait, no, it doesn't. This is a sad thing, but it may come in a future version. So now that I've set the sizing of my text and I've moved things roughly into their final position, let's make that bold and that also bold. The formatting choices that you have are somewhat contingent upon the font that you're using, I think. Okay, so the description, actually, let's make the description, let's make that red as well. All right. I'm going to give my document, or I'm going to give my canvas a name. So I'm going to say MF second canvas in Leeds. I can determine who gets to see it at this point. I can share this with nobody, which is probably good while I'm still working out the kinks and making sure that it's a useful form. I can say that everyone should see it, or I can say that selected users should see it, and then I can make that available according to groups, roles, or even individual users. Chances are good you'll start by having it accessible only to you, then cut some trusted users loose on it, and when they found the mistakes and the mistakes have been fixed, that's when you would release it to your entire group. So I'll save, and I'll say only me for the time being, and there I am. So I've got the second canvas in Leeds. So I've got I already have a canvas in there. I'm going to create one more canvas view, and this time I'm going to do it from a template. And just because it's convenient, I will choose this first template. This looks like it's already done, but it's not. So here's what we have to do on this template. Let me get rid of that. Here's what we need to do with this template. I have to take each of these objects and actually connect it to one of the fields that is in my leads area. So you'll actually see that the title of this window is field mapping, and Zoho even gives you a video about how to do it. This is my video right here on how to do it. What we'll do is, if I try to click next, Zoho tells me, nope, at least one of these fields should be mapped. I'm actually going to map all of them. The way I map fields is I click on the field and I can say, and Zoho asks, which field should this be? And I'll say, well, that should be the lead image. And when I've done this, Zoho gives me a little green check mark in the field or next to the field, telling me that it has successfully mapped that field. So this, I think this is the lead name. And again, it's hard to see, but there's a little green check mark there. This looks like the lead status. Now, I don't actually have to map these to what they look like they should be. These are suggestions. I don't have to map this to this area to the industry. I can map that to the city. But it can be useful. There we go. It can be useful to take their starting points. This is the title, or is it the role? No, it's the title. There's the title. One of the nice things about having templates is that templates are created with the expectation that these are things you might actually need to have. So somebody, a designer, has already created, or an information designer, has already created this template for you. And if you're going to mess with it and not put in the things that you think should be, not put in the things that the designer thought should be there, you should probably have a pretty good reason for doing so. So this is how we do field mapping. At this point, this is the lead owner. Now you can see actually that as I map fields, fields that I've already mapped are no longer available. So I've already used the city, I've used the company, I've used the email address. You see that they're in a lighter shade of gray than the other fields. So if I've already used the field, I can't reuse it again. There's the lead owner, and there's the, I think this is the lead follow-up date. And that, upcoming activity, and click next. There, I've now actually mapped all of my fields, and now I'm back in the area that I was in earlier, where Zoho allows me to place these fields back in here. So using a template is a helpful starting point, but before you use a template, or when you're using a template, you have to make sure that you map the fields that Zoho has already placed there. So let's see where we are. I think we're at this point here. Again, we save that. MF leads canvas 3. Now, so it reminds me down here, maximum of 6 views are available per module. All right, let us go here. That's where I want to be. So let's take a look at what we accomplished today. We took a look at which versions of Zoho support the Canvas View, and the answer is the expensive one, which is $35 a month at the time of this video, which may or may not, well, I know it's a lot less than some other CRMs. So the enterprise version of Zoho CRM is the one that allows you to create Canvas views. We looked at how to find the Canvas view and which modules offer it. Namely, an awful lot of the modules offer it, and you'll note that it's available because there is a paintbrush over top of a canvas for you there. We looked at how to create a new canvas from scratch, and then we took a look at some prefab templates, and we looked at how to create a canvas from a template, and that's almost the exact same as creating one from scratch, except that you have to map the fields into the template before you proceed to the rest of the template creation process. I do hope that you've enjoyed this video. Check out our library for other training videos like this one. If you have any suggestions for other classes or for questions that you may have about Zoho, email us at support@marksgrouplive.com. And thank you for watching.